I've been hearing about Rhodia for a long time, and I'm not sure why it took me so long to click that it's actually Clairefontaine paper. Well, I've finally bought one, and I'm here to discuss whether Rhodia is one of the best fountain pen friendly notebooks. I'm Ruby from the Useful Journal. Like this video and subscribe to my channel to see a huge range of detailed journal reviews for notebooks with dot grid ranging from 52 GSM all the way through to 180 GSM. Today I'm reviewing a Rhodia Rhodiarama 90 GSM notebook. I will tell you a bit about the company and their products and their approach to sustainability and social responsibility. I will talk about the packaging of the journal, the construction of the journal, the markings and features, the paper, and finally I'll run through my pen test. Rhodia is a French brand created by the Verelhac brothers in 1934. The Rhodia brand was bought by Clairefontaine in 1997. Some of Rhodia's notebooks are fully made in France, and I mean fully, including the wood pulp, the milling of the paper, and the construction of their notebook. This one, however, is created using wood pulp sourced from wherever they can get it at the time. So it might be Sweden, it might be within France, it might be somewhere else, and it might be Brazil. The paper is always, in all their notebooks, milled in France by Clairefontaine. This means they have a lot of control over the quality of their products and their production process. The Rhodiarama notebook has paper milled in France, but the notebook itself was constructed in Morocco. It's not always clear where the notebook from Rhodia is made. It's usually noted on the belly band of the actual product. Rhodia is known for their distinctive orange covers. Many of their notebooks come with dot grid markings, so hunt through their website and see which ones do, because a lot of them only come in lined or grid or blank pages. But there is a lot of dot grid to choose from. The Gold Book also comes with a future log and monthly pages. And the web notebook was an attractive option for me because it's the dot grid with the hardcover. However, the covers are only available in black and orange, and that colour palette just does not work for me. They've also got a thinner 64-page version of this one, which I really like the idea of for smaller projects. Some of the Rhodia products are widely available, especially the notepads, but this Rhodiarama notebook can be harder to find in person, and you will probably need to access it online. You can't buy directly through the Rhodia website, but there's a gazillion sites and shops that sell Rhodia products. This particular Rhodiarama book comes in A5 composition and A6 sizes, remembering that composition is similar to a B5 size. While their colours are still predominantly orange and black, they do have a lot more colours available in particular notebook styles, like the Rhodiarama softcover and the Gold Book. Page numbers also vary. Just so you know, in some cases they do talk about the number of sheets in the book. Just double this number to equal the number of pages in the book. So a 20-sheet book will have 40 pages. My notebook came with a layer of thin plastic wrap and had a glossy paper belly band. There was no other packaging. I did buy my journal through Jet Pens, and they didn't include any additional packaging. It may depend on the seller. Other sellers may include more packaging. The journal doesn't have a sleeve or a box cover, and there were no gifts or inclusions with the notebook. The Rhodiarama notebook has a soft, leatherette, flexible cover stamped with Rhodia's branding. There is a contrast, elastic closure that is always orange in a nod to Rhodia's brand. The ribbon bookmark is also always orange. This notebook comes with just one bookmark, and it's long enough to reach around the corner of the notebook. There is no pen loop, but there is a pocket on the inside back cover that doesn't come all the way across, leaving a lump to write over for the last few pages. The edges of the paper are plain and the corners of the pages are rounded. It's quite a dense notebook, but this isn't surprising because they've packed 160 pages into a 13mm thick notebook. Softcover notebooks always, to my experience, have a perfect binding, and this one is stitched into signatures first. It's really rare to see only 3 stitches holding each signature in. I don't know if this affects the long-term stability of the binding. There's no issue with the joins between the signatures. The notebook lays flat but isn't flat. What I mean is there is a slight dip at the spine which you don't see with truly lay flat notebooks. You don't need to clip pages to keep it open though, and that's important. The ribbon is well glued in and the cover is cut flush with the pages, which is standard for soft covers, but does mean less protection for your page edges. I can't comment on the durability of the notebook, but once I finish filling it out and do a flip through, I'll comment on it then. There are no page markings apart from the dot grid. There is a note about the paper and Clairefontaine on the first page, and the end papers are orange in another nod to Rhodia's brand, which I love as a contrast to the purple cover. There are 29 dots across the page and 41 dots down the page. The dots are just under 5mm from the outside edges, but the centre line is very close to the spine, so you can't do boxes across the double page spread that uses the centre of the pages. The alignment of the dots across the double page is excellent throughout. My dot darkness test pushed these dots to the max and tested out as the darkest result. They're quite small and I can't work out why they show through the Tombow markers so clearly because they really don't seem that dark. Perhaps it's the cream coloured paper. Clairefontaine is very well known for their 90 GSM paper, which is often held up as one of the best for fountain pen use. I have to agree, there was zero feathering and no show through from my fine, medium and stub nib fountain pens with inks from Pilot, Diamine, Robert Oster and Noodlers. The paper is ultra smooth and feels like you're writing on butter, even when you're writing with a fine nibbed pen. The smoothness doesn't work for every pen though. The lack of feedback from the paper means that you don't get that same grab on the ink, and so some of your pens may have trouble laying down ink. The smooth paper meant that smearing was horrible. Even 20 seconds after writing with a Pigma Micron pen, the ink was still smearing when I brushed across it with my hand. For the same reason, there was significant smearing when highlighting after writing with the Pigma Micron pen. The paper in this notebook is cream, but if you really prefer ivory or white paper, hunt through their other notebooks because they do sometimes offer those colour papers. Cream paper is their standard offering though. Crinkling of the paper from watercolours wasn't unusual for this weight of paper. It's there, it's obvious, but it doesn't leave the page in a wrinkled mess. To get this level of smoothness, the paper has either been coated or has been very tightly compressed. Either way, this means there is no issue with bleed. The only pen that did bleed through was the Sharpie Ultrafine pen with alcohol-based ink. There is some ghosting, but it's not bad and certainly doesn't interfere with using the other side of the page. Even multiple layers of Tombow markers didn't show through any more than any other pens. Lead pencil erased very cleanly, Whiteouts don't match the cream paper, and the results with watercolours didn't excite me, but do show grades of colour at least, and the pigment doesn't drift to the edges. There was minimal ghosting from using a stamp pad ink and calligraphy ink. You're tired today. Clairefontaine's products use papers that have been certified under the Program for the Endorsement of Forest Certification, the PEFC scheme, which is an international certification scheme similar to the Forest Stewardship Council, the FSC scheme. Some of their products are certified through the FSC scheme. I'm not sure why they use two different types, but the PEFC scheme seems to be more commonly used throughout Europe. I do really like that Clairefontaine provides some information about their supply chain right down to the wood pulp. It's fairly minimal, but at least we've got some idea of where the products are coming from. This is a lot better than some companies that provide you no information at all. Clairefontaine does source some of its wood pulp from eucalyptus forests in Brazil. Unfortunately, rainforest has been cleared to grow these eucalyptus forests because eucalyptus is a profitable crop. You might say that's okay, they're replacing trees with trees and the forests are sustainably managed, but eucalypts are not a tree native to Brazil. They aren't suitable for the local flora and fauna. They're not suitable for the local soils. They don't contribute to the ecosystem in the same way that rainforest would. To sum up, I would actually prefer that Rhodia didn't source wood pulp from Brazil, because no matter how sustainably the forest might be managed, it's just not overall a good result for Brazil. Clairefontaine also engages in one of my pet hates, saying that their products are recyclable. This is a bit of greenwashing, and it's a bit unnecessary because Clairefontaine aren't that bad. They do recycle some of their paper, and they've got a particular plant that produces recycled paper to use for printing. This doesn't take away from the fact that they are doing good things to improve their sustainability. They're decarbonising their processes, they are managing their water, they're treating runoff water. There's just room for improvement. Clairefontaine supports sports clubs and does perform well against France's regulations requiring companies to be environmentally and socially responsible. They do have the advantage of having most of their processes conducted within France, which means they have a lot more control over their processes. But given my particular notebook is manufactured by them in Morocco, I would just like to know that they have looked into the working conditions in Morocco and that they're comfortable that workers' rights and workers' health are being considered. Overall, I would say their performance and their approach is kind of middle of the road, maybe a little bit above middle of the road, and there's plenty of room to do things better. I know at points in this review it's probably sounded like I'm not particularly fussed about this Rhodia notebook or the Clairefontaine company, but I'm just being my usual picky self. I really do like this notebook. I like the feel of the cover, the smooth paper, and the quality of the construction. I love that I can write with any of my fountain pens and the results look like they should for that pen, nib and ink combination. And there's no show through to the back side of the page. I'm even semi-confident that I could use art materials in moderation and not destroy my paper. I recognise that Clairefontaine is making an effort to improve their environmental and social responsibility. I just believe that there's room to do more and that they're kind of doing what's required by the government and doing enough to safeguard their reputation, but not trying to do above and beyond what is required of them. I'll be interested to see what happens if they do move more of their production outside France, because it's always been such a key point for them that they're a French-owned company with most of their process happening in France, and they will lose that quality control that they've had to now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, I really look forward to using this notebook, and it's definitely towards the top of the pile of my favourite notebooks so far. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's really nice to know if you want me to keep on making these kinds of videos. See ya!